40 prisoners sleeping in a big cell like this one. The 60s and the 70s, they will be sleeping on the floor with the 2 mats that you see here. There were no sheets or pillows at that time, with only 2 blankets. Same blanket that you see there on the bed. Right. And these 2 mats will go against the wall, the mat will touch the wall. And you will start from that corner, they will go right up to the corner. From this other side, they will go right up to there, just before the bathroom door. In the middle here, you could walk and go to where you sleep. The 2 small intercom speakers I was talking about, there they are. Right. So that's how the cell will look like. All the cells inside here. This section you can see has 4 big communal cells. 2 there at the entrance, these 2 here at the end. Right. Now, every sentenced prisoner, you know, when you have just arrived after being given a new uniform, they'll also give you a small card like this. And that card, very, very important, always in your pocket. If they need to see it, you must be able to produce that card. It's like your identity in prison. Every morning when the prison officers come to inspect us in our cell, you should be standing next to your bed, holding your small card in front of you. Now, it has all your information. In case you have a complaint, you want to say something, they must be able to see who they are speaking to. And that card will look like this one here. All sentenced prisoners will be given a card like this one here. The information you see here is a true information. It's of Comrade Billy Naya from KwaZulu-Natal province. Unfortunately, he's no more with us. He was very old and very sick. On top here is a prison number. Very, very important. You must know it. Because if they open this door here looking for you, they won't use your name, but your prison number. We are called with numbers in this prison. 69/64. It means he was number 69 to arrive here in Robben Island in 1964. He was even here before Mr. Mandela. But they came the same year. Mr. Mandela was number 466 to arrive here in Robben Island in 1964. 466/64. That is Mr. Mandela's prison number. Comrade Bill's crime, sabotage. And he was sentenced for 20 years. He had done it all in Robben Island. From 1964 until 1984. In my country at that time, if you are a political prisoner, you had to do all your sentence. You had no parole, no remission, nothing. You've done that. There's a date of sentence, the date of discharge. Fingerprints, his religion. On top here you can see group. That is one thing we didn't like in prison, that grouping. It caused a lot of confusion, divisions amongst us in this prison. When they introduced this grouping, it was meant to divide us in prison. And of course, yes, it divided us. It can be said of us sleeping in a big cell like this one, but we belong to different groups. There will be A, B, C, and D group in a big cell like this one. The same as the other cells inside here. You start first from being a D group. It's a D group, there's nothing you can buy in prison. D groups are those without discipline, and those who have just arrived new prisoners. Now don't confuse the groupings with the sections. Because in this grouping here, where they check your behavior, right, in every section where you stay. Right. So every big cell like this one, A, B, C, and D, there's the grouping. It's A, it's D, it's A group, B group, C, and D group. We've got sections, we've got A section, B section, C section, and D section. Those are the sections. This is F section. We have E, kitchen, G section, and the hospital down there. Right. Now, but you start D groups, you start being a D. D groups are those without discipline and those who have just arrived new prisoners. You behave well, they will promote you to C group. The following year you go to B until you become an A. Much better than A. You enjoy many privileges, you can buy a lot of things. You could study if you are an A. You could get a lot of visits per month. You could buy a newspaper, a packet of cigarettes, tea, coffee, biscuits, a lot of things. But the newspaper that you are buying will go to census office. If there's any political article in the newspaper, they will cut it out. You receive your newspaper, almost every page, it will have a lot of holes. They will leave you the sports section, you can read sports, it's fine. They'll do that with letters from the family. And it was only the A's who were allowed to receive money from their families when they had to visit them. Any amount of money. They'll come into prison, they'll buy a lot of things, hence we became divided. Majority of them became very, very selfish. When they buy, they'll just buy for themselves and not share with others. Like they're in the kitchen every Wednesday during supper time. We cooked what we call samosa. Many prisoners didn't like the samosa because of the taste. I know the samosa. I cooked the samosa. I also didn't like it. It's brownish in color when it's cooked. When you look at it, it looks like a mincemeat. But when you taste it, oh, not good. So the A groups were allowed to buy tins of fish or tins of beef. They'll open their tins and start enjoying their meal. Just like cigarette. Also very important, many prisoners smoked. I smoked for the whole 7 years that I spent here. But not today, I don't smoke anymore now. So there was a tobacco that they issued for those who could not buy a packet of cigarette. Very, very strong, that tobacco. We call it machalis in prison. That tobacco you roll with a paper. It could change the color of your teeth. You smoke it raw as it is, 3 months down the line. Blood will come out from your gums. So you should take it into the bathroom here. You must wash it first. Put it outside to get dry. Much better than smoking. It's a bit light now, no more straws. While the A groups will be smoking cigarette and not sharing with others. But we never gave up on them. We kept on talking to them every evening after being locked in these cells, reminding them that they are also part of us, irrespective from which political organization you come from. We are all here for the same cause. We've been fighting together, training together, belonging to band organizations, but we help each other. Why you come into prison, become an A group, you think you're much better than others? No, we have to share. Fortunately, the majority of those A groups started understanding, cooperating, buying bulk and sharing with everybody. And we saw changes amongst ourselves by working together in prison. The other one is about food. Now, before I continue talking, please relax, don't panic. You know, I know some of you, when it's 4 o'clock, they'll say, no, it's time to go. They said we're leaving at 4 o'clock. You have seen the boats you came with, very slow. So take your time, relax, right? You go out in time, you get your boat, you go, right? Those are slow boats, so just relax, take your time. There's so many groups inside also here, right? So don't panic. Remember, you also came late from around the island. I also need to take my time to tell you about this prison. So just relax, right? Now, this dice game worked from the 60s until the late 70s. In the 80s, I was here, nobody was given food in this manner. We stayed together in this building. The 60s and the 70s, it will be Coloureds and Indians, this side. And this side, it will be Bantus. Bantus are Africans. When given food, not the same. The Coloureds and the Indians, they will be given much better food than the Bantus. It was not only about food, even when it comes to prison uniform. Coloureds and Indians will wear long trousers, shoes down there, shirts, even jackets in winter. It comes to the Bantus Africans, no shoes down there. They will wear shorts, shirts only, not even a jockey. Read some of the books that are written by some of the leaders who stayed in this prison, who were here in the 60s and the early 70s, how they fought for better conditions in this prison. When I arrived here in 1983, I was wearing shoes, long trousers, jackets. I was sleeping on the bed. Food much better compared to the 60s and the early 70s. That shows that they fought for better conditions in this prison. Now, if you know the political situation of this country, you look at this dice game, it's just one model of apartheid system. It shows you how we were treated in this country. Every government department, you will be treated in this manner. It was law in my country. Like when we stayed, we never stayed together in this country. Every town and city in this country, it had white suburbs, Indian areas, colored areas, and African township. You could never be a neighbor of one another. You stay where you belong. The same like in schools. You know, if the minister in education start allocating his yearly financial budget, white schools will get a bigger portion of that budget. They'll be followed by Indians, they'll come colors, and the Bantu will always get last and very little. We started realizing positive changes in this country in 1994, on the 27th of April. It was the first time we black people go out there and cast our vote. We never voted before in this country. The first time also we see a black president in this country, Mr. Nelson Mandela. Then apartheid was abolished. We are a better country today in South Africa. I can be a neighbor of everybody today. I can even take my children to any school around the country. I can enter any restaurant, hotel, and sit next to anybody. We don't have places written whites only, like before. That we don't want to see in this country. And whatever we produce in this country, anything that comes from South Africa, we can take it all over the world, trade with many countries around the world. Much better. It wasn't like that before. We were sanctioned and isolated in this world. Like in sport, you know, we were never allowed in any sporting body around the world. Very, very difficult, you know, for our guys in cricket and rugby, for them to go to England, Australia, New Zealand, many other countries around the world. The anti-apartheid movements were there. They made it difficult for them to play in those stadiums. Take football, you know, soccer. For us to see the best soccer in this country, it used to be South African white 11 versus South African black 11. That's the best soccer that we could watch. We played amongst ourselves. We couldn't even play for our neighbors around here. But look today, our children can play sport all over the world. We belong to many sporting bodies. We've been welcomed. We are a winning nation today, South Africa. Right. We beat everybody in any sport. Do you agree with me? Who doesn't agree? We're very good, South Africa. Right. You know, in rugby, we're very good. We won Rugby World Cup twice. 1995 and 2007. The 1995 one was the first Rugby World Cup coming to this country. The finals was South Africa play against New Zealand, the All Blacks. Mr. Mandela was in the stadium. We won that trophy and he raised it. And everybody was happy in this country. We were all happy. I was in Bloemfontein. We were all happy there in Bloemfontein, singing together, eating together, drinking together the whole night. And that's when I realized sport, very important. It brings people together. We learn each other's culture. Some of you will know, in my country, rugby and cricket was a white man's sport. Soccer was for black people, but look today, we all play these sports together now. And that's what we wanted. That's the kind of South Africa wanted to see. Now, many other sports like cricket, very good. Forget about our games with Sri Lanka, but we still rank #1 in the world when it comes to cricket. We are ranked, in test games, South Africa is #1. Right. We hosted FIFA Soccer World Cup in 2010. We have Bafana, you know them? Huh? Yeah, they are very good. Right. We play sport. Right. South Africa is good. Now, that is sport. It's not only the 3 groups that you see here that fought against apartheid system. No, it's not only that. We also had white political prisoners. A lot of white people fought in this country. But the laws of the country would not allow them to be brought to Robben Island to sleep with us in the cells. They were taken to Pretoria Central Prison. And some of the women were in Kroonstad, in the Free State province. Right. Our minister today in science and technology, Derek Hanako, 3 years he spent in prison. He's an ex-prisoner. Right. The governor of the Reserve Bank, Jill Marcus, she spent 10 years in prison. There's a gentleman, he was arrested with Mandela. He was also sentenced for life in prison. Dennis Goldberg. The only white prisoner sent to Robben Island. Some of you will know the gentleman. He worked in the parliament. But we're not sure whether the case was political. it was never reported to the public as to why the gentleman, Mr. Tsafendas, stabbed our Prime Minister, Dr. Hendrik Verwoerd, with a knife to death in the parliament in 1966. After being sentenced to life in prison by the courts, he was sent to Robben Island. But he didn't stay long here. Just for about 2 months, he was then taken back to Pretoria Central Prison. Here in the Dice, the Colours and the Indians, they will be given bread at lunch and supper. And the Bantus, Puzamandla instead of bread. Puzamandla is a powder you mix with water and then you eat it. Now, from there, different ounces of food. In the 80s, I was here, I even worked in the kitchen. We stayed together and we shared everything equally amongst ourselves. We didn't have anything like this. Any question before we go and see Mr. Mandela, sir? About our prison, about our country. This is the only chance that we have, because from here, we'll be going to B section. We're going to talk about Mr. Mandela. You'll be able to see Mr. Mandela survey in B section. From there, after that, I'll show you the way to the hub. You won't get a chance to ask questions. I like it. That's good. That's very good. You see, if you say you don't have questions, that's what I like. Take your cameras, your cell phone. Please, you don't leave anything behind in this cell. We work as a group, you don't stay behind. We're going to see Mr. Mandela.